Hello and welcome to your latest morning coffee with Empire. I'm your host, Farrell Keeling, and we have Rick Elliott and a very depleted coffee mug. I'm very sorry about that.
It's all right. I was expecting this to start at 8. I got my coffee ready for 8, and here we are at almost 8:15, and the coffee is almost gone.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have let down the side somewhat, but we're here, and at least one of us has a relatively full mug of coffee. But just to kick things off, as we have started doing with our stat of the day, in honour of the man, of course, who signed a new contract with Liverpool Football Club, I'm, of course, talking about Jurgen Klopp, who's staying with us until now, the summer of 2026. Our stat of the day is that Jurgen Klopp has won each of his four home matches in the Champions League semi-finals, which is the joint best 100% win rate at home in the semi-finals by any manager in the competition. Not bad going, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, it's been a long time to get to this point where he can get away with stats like that. You know, there's been the Europa years, and but it's still we're here. Well, I mean the Europa year, shall I say? But yeah, we're here, and it's fantastic that we can get away with stats like that. It's
pretty bonkers, isn't it? I mean, we'll kick things off with a sort of transfer story. Obviously, the news that Liverpool-linked Ronald Araujo of Barcelona has signed a new contract with his club. He spoke on the links quite tenuously. He sort of said, I'm really happy and I'm convinced that staying is the right decision because there are good years ahead for the club. I was always certain I wanted to stay. There were big offers from abroad, but I'm happy at Barcelona. I mean, there were constant links between us, I believe also United, Arsenal, City, the usual contenders for the Barcelona players. I mean, it was one of those I kind of didn't really ever buy into in terms. I mean, the quality is there, obviously, but if you look at sort of players like Joe Gomez, who partnered Van Dijk in our title-winning season, can't get into the side. I mean, I struggle to see the rationality of bringing in Araujo unless a Gomez type player would leave the club in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, ever since sort of, we've had Konate come in, and since then, whenever we've tried to get Gomez into the team, it's been this sort of makeshift. It's never really been sort of all right, you are partnering with Van Dijk like he did a few seasons back. It's been just, look, we need you to just fill in, do a job for 5-10 minutes, and and then the game's over. Very rarely has he actually played a significant amount of time this season, and it's when we're looking at other defensive options, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, when the other season when we had Williams and Big Nat in defence, and you could sort of when we were stretched thin, then yeah, sure. I think we were looking at every single defensive option that there was in Europe and the world. But now it's, scale it back and let's have a look at what the quality that we actually do have in the team that are actually fit.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I mean, my main concern, to be honest, is losing Gomez in the summer because he's obviously been linked with the likes of Newcastle, and, you're getting a world-class centre half there, potentially quite cheaply. But moving on, I believe, Rick, you have a little story for us about Dua Lipa.
Yeah, so she's taken the number 1 kit from Alisson. She's been pictured with Jamie Carragher. I'm assuming it's a concert last night, and I believe that's her manager next to her because he's a Liverpool fan from what I hear. But there's a photo floating around on Kara's Twitter and Instagram of Lipa 1 being held up, and the three of them smiling. So, it's nice to see that despite her father's allegiances to Arsenal, that she can still sort of accept Liverpool into her heart, and especially after that Champions League final. And it didn't go the way that we want, but at least it's given us the memories it's given us a belter song to sing at the end. George keeps putting it on at the end of every single match for the last 4 home games. It's great. I love the fact that it's become a thing. Like, even though that final didn't end the way that we wanted to, it's just like, I was listening to it just before we started this podcast, so
it goes to show, doesn't it?
Any indication, yeah.
I mean, it's been properly co-opted by the fan base. It's quite impressive. I know she's talked about it before and sort of gone, I never sort of expected this level of reception from like a fan base on one song. So it's quite remarkable, and long may it continue. I do wonder how her father and brother will respond to that.
It's only a matter of time before she plays Anfield. Like, it will happen within the next 5 years. I guarantee.
She's got to. But yes, no. On another front, of course, looking ahead to the Newcastle game and more to the future, of course. Whilst we're on the topic of defenders leading on from Gomez, Jamie Carragher made an appearance on the It's a Funny Old Life podcast, and he was talking specifically at one point about Ibrahima Konate and how good he's been this season, and he's basically practically said, for all intents and purposes, he reckons that Konate will edge out John Matip next season to become Virgil van Dijk's full-time defensive partner, which is, it's quite a statement, because and again, I think I understand that, because you sort of look at the quality of performance we've been treated to in the the Champions League and beyond. You've got some stellar league performance as well. The 5-0 thrashing of United at Old Trafford will live long in the memory, in part due to Konate's appearance. But I think it's a bit harsh on Matip, and I think if he can, it's injury struggle dependent, isn't it? Because if Matip continues to stay fit and continues to stay available, then I don't know, it's hard to see Konate edging him out. But then you also want to look out for the future. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely get what you mean. It's this balancing act between feeding in the youth and keeping the experience in the team. Not to say that Konate isn't, can't hold his own on the pitch. And he's got this knack of scoring goals, which is like, the stat that like 20 individual players have scored for us this season or something like that. And Konate's just been one of them that's just come out of nowhere and just, just header them in. Yeah, sure. Cool. Just keep adding them in. Yeah. But no, like there's having the experience of Matip. It's the fact that we've had a full season of Matip not get injured significantly, which has been, I don't think anyone really saw that coming. I think everyone's just sort of gotten used to this point where, Matip's been, it's Matip. He can do a solid job for us, but how long can you keep him fit? And you can only play 3 games in a row, and then you rotate him out, and then you got to put Gomez in, or and it was just sort of this like unreliable addition to the team. But he's shown his reliability this season, and it's great. And now you finally get to see the full Matip package. But then that makes it a struggle for Konate to come in, because he's obviously got some skill, he's obviously got some talent, and it's just I wouldn't want to be.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, of course. It's one of those where you'd be like, well, yeah, all right, we could play him in one in the cup games and one in the league games, but he just the Klopp likes rhythm and playing as many players as possible. Today, for example, Newcastle, most people would peg it to be like a game where you rotate. I don't think that'll be the case. I think Klopp will try and keep as many core players in there as possible. Maybe we'll see Konate today, maybe not. But you just, and that's what makes it hard for managers, because he's like, well, do I keep it in mind that he's probably going to not rotate, or do I expect there to be some rotation and Smeakas will play? But I don't think Smeakas will play because he's still coming back from injury. But you get what I mean. Like, it's
absolutely.
But yeah, it's that balancing act, and I wouldn't want to be Klopp right now. Basically, trying to keep.
We just had a quick comment here from Anne Eve. Morning to you as well, Anne. Hope you're enjoying the show, and welcome to everyone who's joining us on our second morning coffee with Empire. To round things out, of course, we've got a story from Peter Crouch, I believe, Rick.
Yeah, so Peter Crouch is basically saying what every Liverpool fan is thinking. Is speaking to Paddy Power via the Mirror, and he's basically said that Mane is a great shout for the Ballon d'Or, which, he is a great shout. Salah's a great shout as well. But yeah, so basically he said Mane's a great shout. He's won the AFCON already, and if he goes on to win the Champions League and the Premier League, and if Liverpool complete the quadruple, then it would almost certainly have to go to a Liverpool player. And then Mohamed Salah and Mane are your standouts for that. So yeah, it's. I mean, of course, it's. You're going to have to give it to a Liverpool player if we get the quadruple. But the thing is, it's getting the quadruple in the first place, which is a hurdle in itself. It's no easy feat. We're not, we are in the back seat for the Premier League, which is 1 quarter of that. We've already got another quarter down, so it's just a case of doing our best in the FA Cup and. And the Champions League, and just to see what happens with the league. I think even if we got a treble, having Mane have the AFCON should be enough. I think for him to get the Ballon d'Or, even if it's not the quadruple, there's enough there. Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, AFCON. That's a solid selection of trophies.
We've just had some more comments quickly, whilst we're on the topic of the quadruple, of course, from Nick Wareham. I think today is the hardest test we have for the rest of the league season. Certainly it's difficult to argue with that. I think if you look at sort of the league table in the last 10 or so games, I think Newcastle are second behind us, and it's City, and then best of the rest. Lots of love from Nigeria, from Agbamu. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Yeah, I'd say Spurs as well is it's Newcastle and Spurs. Those are the two that are going to give us a slip up anything. But I can see us getting past Spurs. It'll be a case of what's Kane and Son doing these days? Are they going to turn up or aren't they? Newcastle is definitely it's how long we got until kickoff. We got a couple of hours. I'm absolutely breaking it. It's we should get a result there, but it's still their form is still tremendous, and you can't discount it.
And on that note, I think it seems a good place to wrap up. Thank you for joining us today on this morning's Coffee with Empire. I've been Farrell Keeling, and I've been joined by the lovely and wonderful Rick Elliott. Take care and enjoy the match.